YouTube, Seabass the Seabass here. Today we're doing the random commander wheel. We've done one of these before, John and I. Today I'm doing it solo. If you weren't here for the live stream, like and subscribe so we can do more of these in the future, and you can be there as I do it. All right, we've got Tsuki Kyoshi Captain as the first option. We were looking at this a moment ago. Don't like that it's only well, I don't like that you can't get a bunch of mana and give all your creatures double strike, so it's like a once per turn ability. That's option one. Let's move on. I don't think I can make that bracket 4. And I would like to make a bracket 4. That's kind of where I like to live. We got another mono white option. It's a sign. If we get a third mono white option, I guess that's what we'll have to pick. This is what we're doing. We're randomizing the wheel 3 times, picking one of those 3, or pick the fourth option is the must build. Night Nurse, Healer of Heroes, 2 mana, 2/1. This is also from Marvel. Okay, legendary creature, human doctor hero, flash lifelink. When it enters, choose target permanent card in your graveyard that was put there from anywhere this turn. Return it to your hand. Yo, 50 subscribers! What's up? That's awesome. Appreciate it, everybody. Showing up and helping us make this a reality. John's working hard. I'm working hard. Spending a ton of money to improve the... well, not a ton of money. Selling a lot of Magic cards to make Magic content and to support this, bring it full circle. Magic cards are temporary. Our legacy is forever, or something. That's awesome. Okay, so that's option 2. Option 3. I'm not going to look at it. You guys tell me if it's good. I'm kidding. I could see it over there. Tiny Bones, Bobble Burglar. Someone in chat's familiar with this guy. John the Artificer. Tiny Bones, Bobble Burglar is a 2 mana, 1/3 legendary creature skeleton rogue. Whenever an opponent discards a card, exile it from their graveyard with a stash counter on it. During your turn, you may play cards you don't own with stash counters on them from exile, and mana of any type can be spent to cast those spells. For 4 mana, tap it. Each opponent discards a card. So, you want your opponents to discard cards, and it itself causes your opponents to discard cards. Let's do it. Okay, what I would do off the bat. Also, if you don't know this, you can hover over a card, add it. Done. Add it. So then I like to, for now, hit the 3 money signs. That's going to show you the expensive picks. You're going to look at the expensive picks and then compare those to the alternatives and find that sweet spot of price to performance. And then I also like to hit brackets 4 or 5. We have enough information on EDH Rec to look at both. Let's look at bracket 5. See what the best versions of this deck are doing. Up at the top, we're going to get new cards. This doesn't necessarily mean they're the best picks, but this one has a 100% inclusion rate if you're looking at one deck. Okay. So it's not included in a ton of decks. There doesn't look like there's a ton of this deck even built. How many do we have? This is ranked number 216, and it has 8 decks built for expensive CEDH. Okay. So of the expensive CEDH decks, these are all the highest inclusion rates. We've got high synergy cards. Chains of Mephistopheles. This is an old card from Legends. It is also $1,200. I don't own one. Probably not gonna include that. Yawgmoth's Will, very good card, and still fairly expensive. $250, $300 ish. Can't say that I would play that. Dark Deal. Each player discards all the cards in their hand, and then draws that many cards -1. That's exactly what we want to do. We want to make your opponents discard a card. You exile them with stash counters, and then you can recast them whenever you would like. Okay. Dark Deal. This is a card I would include, so I'm going to hit the plus sign there. So what is this new card? These are both in one deck. And they have high synergy. But 3 mana, 2 mana. When this creature enters, each opponent discards a card. This is a common effect at 2 mana. Let's add it for now. I'll just show you kind of how I go through my process. So we'll add it for now and may get cut later. The Master of Lake Town. 1 black for a 3/2 death touch. Whenever an opponent loses life, that player mills that many cards. When the Master of Lake Town dies, draw a card for each graveyard with 7 or more cards in it. Interesting. I like it as death touch. So it's evasive. It's evasive. Your opponents don't necessarily want to block it because it has death touch. So you swing into somebody that doesn't want to lose a permanent. And hopefully they don't block it. Or you could politic your way into letting 3 damage through. But when they lose life, they have to mill that many cards. So if he's the only one attacking, they mill 3 cards. And then when he dies, you draw a card for each graveyard with it. Okay, so this is potentially draw 4. Okay, I like it. It's a new card. Let's play with it. I'm seeing a card here I really like. Chain of Smog. I will include that. Target player discards 2 cards from his or her hand. Then that player may copy this spell and may choose a new target for that copy. Fantastic. You make somebody discard 2 cards, and they may copy the spell. Make somebody else discard 2 cards. If it comes back to you, as long as people decide to keep doing it, it keeps going around. Great. 3 mana, each player discards 3 cards. Sure, why not? All of these high synergy cards that are not crazy expensive at the expensive tier 5, bracket 5, are likely worth including. We got Tiny Bones joins up, cheap card, Bottomless Pit, 3 mana during each player's upkeep. That player discards a card at random. Rough. We got a Ritual here, 2 mana, make 3 mana. If your graveyard has 7 or more cards in it, it's 2 mana, add 5 mana. Yes, we will play that. Oppression, 3 mana. Whenever a player plays a spell, that player discards a card from his or her hand. Yeah, let's do it. Urza Saga, I'm getting rid of one of these cards, but if I was to build this deck, that's likely a good card to have. All right, now we're getting to the top cards, the best cards to have in this deck. These are all going to be includes. So we're going to go boom, boom, boom. If something stands out as something I would not play, I would say as such. The only one that kind of stands out here, these are all black cards. The ones that are not black are artifacts that reduce the cost of your spells, draw you a bunch of cards, or hinder your opponents. Whenever a player casts a spell, if no mana was spent to cast it, like let's say a Deadly Rollick, then you get to counter it. And for 1 mana, you can sacrifice the Vexing Bauble to draw a card. How does this work? You have Vexing Bauble in play. Somebody tries to cast a Deadly Rollick. If you control a commander, you may cast the spell without paying its mana cost. Okay? Vexing Bauble says whenever a player casts a spell, if no mana was spent to cast it, counter it. So it's something that sits in play and stops your opponent from playing free spells. Not bad. Not bad. We've got some removal in here. We've got things that make opponents discard. Damage to each opponent discards a card. We've got another Ritual, 1 mana, sacrifice a creature, add 4 black. Dark Ritual, 1 mana, add 3 black. We've got a free, if you control your commander. Fortunately, our commander is fairly cheap. 2 mana. Easily cast turn 1. And then you have free exile target creature. Great. All right. If we're going for high bracket, brackets 4, well, technically brackets 3, 4, and 5. These are the cards you're looking at. Game changers. They all have this orange in the top left. So these are cards that if I was trying to go bracket 4 or 5, I would probably just plus all of these. However, I'm only going to add 3 for now. And if I don't think the deck is where I want it, then I'll add more. So this is potentially only going to be a bracket 3. While I do own all of these cards, which ones would I want to include if I was building this as bracket 3? I would probably want, since our game plan is fairly narrow, make opponents discard cards, cast their spells. I don't know that I need the tutors. Let's say we skip those. So we got Imperial, Demonic, and Vampiric that we're skipping. Orcish Bowmasters just got reprinted. Great card. Flash when it enters enters the battlefield, and whenever an opponent draws a card, except the first one they draw on each of their end steps, or each of their draw steps, Orcish Bowmaster deals 1 damage to any target that amass Orcs 1. Great card. That will be one of my 3 game changers. Other than that, Ancient Tomb, you get to spend mana or mana of any color? Yes. So during your turn, you may play cards you don't own with stash counters on them from exile, and mana of any type can be spent to cast those spells. Great. So a land that makes you 2 mana that can be spent to cast your opponent's spells as though it were mana of any color. Great. Let's add that. That's our second game changer. And then any mana positive artifact then is also very good. Mana Vault and Grim Monolith are both mana positive. This is 2 mana, makes 3 mana, but then you have to pay mana to untap it. Mana Vault is 1 mana, makes 3 mana, but then again, you have to pay mana to untap it. Whereas Soul Ring, for example, is 1 mana, make 2 mana outright. Mana Crypt is unfortunately banned. So, no playing that. So our other options are maybe 0 mana, make 1 mana, such as Chrome Mox here. Chrome Mox is getting a reprint in the Zeta set that we talked about earlier. That's 0 mana imprint. When it enters the battlefield, you may exile a non-artifact, non-land card from your hand, tap to add 1 mana of the exiled card's colors. So in this deck, you're likely exiling a black card because it's all you got. You're mono black. Chrome Mox then taps for black, but you didn't pay any mana to cast it. And then that black mana can be spent as though it were mana of any color to cast your opponent's spells with stash counters from Tiny Bones. So let's make Chrome Mox our 3rd game changer for now. If I was to pick any more, I would likely pick Mox Diamond because I do own one. Opposition Agent because it's brutal on your opponents. You control your opponents while they search their libraries, and then you can play those cards. So it's again stealing your opponent's cards, but you know what? Let's take Orcish Bowmasters out and add Opposition Agent. If we're going to be playing our opponent's cards, let's stick to that theme. Opposition Agent, steal, and cast our opponent's things. Let's do it. So mana positive land, mana positive artifact, and sticking to the theme of stealing your opponent's things. We're going to leave out the Vault and the Monolith. We're going to leave out the Tutors. And we're going to leave out the expensive mana positive Diamond Mox. Okay, there's another game changer down here in our creatures. But what's sticking out to me? I'm going to be looking at inclusion rates in other versions of this deck. So the inclusion rate is how many decks with the parameters I set, so bracket 5, expensive, how many of the decks with those same settings have this specific card in those decks? For example, this Grief is in 5 decks out of the 8 expensive CEDH decks. That doesn't mean this card specifically is expensive. As you can see, TCG player, a little over $3. Card Kingdom, $4. We're adding it. This makes your opponent discard cards. It's a creature. You can cast it for free. Because it's got Evoke. So we'll include that. Rotting Rats. It's another 2 mana. When it enters, each player discards a card. And it has Unearth for 2 mana. Let's include it. Turgid is a game changer. We'll skip that. It's also, you'll know about Turgid. Rough card to play against. Refurbished Familiar, 4 mana, 2/1. Affinity for artifacts. We're not playing a ton of artifacts yet. So Affinity gives this spell a cost reduction based on the number of the card it has an affinity for. So if you have affinity for artifacts, like in this case, this spell costs 1 less to cast for each artifact you control. So this is potentially a single black for a 2/1 with flying, and when it enters, each opponent discards a card. For each opponent who can't, you draw a card. Love it. Even if it's 3 mana, 2/1, each opponent discards a card, that's fine. We could reduce it by 2 or more. Great. Children of the Apocalypse. Great card. Not a game changer. We'll add it. Boggart Trawler, 3 mana, 3/1. When it enters, exile target player's graveyard. Our opponents won't have many graveyards or won't have much in their graveyards since we are. Get that out of here. Since we want them to discard a lot of their cards and be exiled with stash counters on them due to Tiny Bones' effect. Whenever they discard a card, exile it from the graveyard with a stash counter on it. So I don't think Boggart Trawler, even though it is a flip card and is a land on the back, don't think it's absolutely necessary. What else? We got the other Tiny Bone. 2 mana, 1/2 at the beginning of each end step. An opponent discards a card this turn. You draw a card and lose 1 life. And then for 6 mana, each opponent with no cards in hands loses 10 life. I think it's going to be fairly easy to do. We'll add that to the main deck. To the 99. I think, John, you had this as the commander, correct? Correct? I think so. Yeah. We got Hoarding Broodlord. This is a combo card. Typically, Hoarding Broodlord combos with Saw and a Half. I don't know that it's possible in this, but how can we check? If you're not familiar with EDH Rec, you go to a commander. If there's any combos in the decks that have these settings, you can click on combos. I'll open this, and then I'm going to click on more combos in another tab. So these are combos used in Tiny Bones Bobble Burglar decks. So I'm going to look for the Hoarding. Jesus. I'm going to look for the Hoarding Broodlord combo that I'm familiar with. Or a Saw in Half. These are all combos we could be playing in here. We could hit the plus sign on any of these and add the whole combo to the deck that we're building up. And if you're familiar, if you're not familiar, you can click right here. And these are all the cards we've added so far. So I'm not seeing Hoarding Broodlord and Saw in Half in the combos here. And that's probably because it's not necessarily a combo. It's a combo setup card. Let's read what it does. Hoarding Broodlord is 5 black, black, black for a 7/6 with Convoke. What does Convoke say? Convoke says you can tap creatures you control to help pay for the cost of this card. So you can tap them for part of the colorless cost, or if that creature is black, to help pay for the black. So if we play a bunch of creatures, we can tap our creatures down to play this. So it's not typically 8 mana. So for 8 mana though, if you cast it outright, 7/6 Convoke flying. When it enters the battlefield, search your library for a card, exile it face down, then shuffle. For as long as that card remains exiled, you may play it. Spells you cast from exile also have Convoke, so you can make that spell even cheaper as well. If you have Saw in Half, it's a 3 mana spell. I believe a sorcery. You destroy target creature, and then you make 2 copies of that creature that are half stats. So in this case, they would probably be 3/3. I think you round down. So for 3, so you get this into play however you can, either paying the 8 mana or tapping some creatures to help pay for the Convoke, getting out fairly cheap. Then you Saw in Half for 3 mana, destroy this creature and make 2 of them. Then you get to go search for 2 cards, put them in exile, and you may cast those from exile, and then those have Convoke as well. So it's more of a setup card. It's only $5. Let's play it. It's going to be the top end, or even though it doesn't necessarily realistically cost 8 mana, it's an expensive, worst case scenario creature to cast. We'll put it in for now. Raid's Arisen Nightmare. At your end step, you sacrifice an artifact, creature, enchantment, land, or planeswalker. If you do, each opponent does the same, and that shares a card type with the one you exiled. And then for each opponent who doesn't, that player loses 2 life, and you draw a card. We love drawing cards. Sounds good to me. Again, like I said, 2 mana creatures that when they enter, each opponent discards a card. We got 2 of those back to back. Let's add them for now. Elderfang, exact same thing. Nezumi Informant, exact same thing. Virus Beetle, 2 mana. When it enters, each opponent discards a card. We're going to add all the versions of that we see for now. Okay, I think that's the most playable ones. Mind Slicer, when it dies, each player discards their hand. Sure. You could get, it's 4 mana, get a creature into play that prevents your opponents from attacking you because they don't want to necessarily discard their hand. You're gonna have a bunch of creatures with, or a bunch of spells in exile with stash counters on them that you can recast. So Mind Slicer, making every player discard their hand, not a big deal to you. You just want your opponents to have no cards in hand. Yes, Titan Bone is coming out. We're getting another to add to the deck. Is Titan Bones green though? I think Titan Bones is green. So not in this deck, unfortunately. Then we've got Rev, Tithe Extractor. When you attack, target creature gains Death Touch until end of turn. They made another, oh, you're right. They did make another Tiny Bones. Plus Titan Bones is the green because it's the split universe thing going on there in Reality Fracture. Whenever you attack, target creature gains Death Touch until end of turn. Whenever one or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, create a treasure token, then look at the top card of that player's library and exile it face down. You may cast that card for as long as it remains exiled. A lot of lines of text to say, I'm stealing your stuff. Let's play it. Cryptghast. This has Extort, which is cool. And whenever you tap a swamp for mana, add an additional black. We're mono black. Let's double up our mana. And what does Extort do? Whenever you cast a spell, you may pay black or white. In this case, we're only going to be playing the black. If you do, each opponent loses a life and you gain that much life. A lot of these effects so far deal ourselves damage. Let's get a little bit of that back by paying a little extra mana here and there to deal our opponents damage and gain some life. We've got Blood Pet. This is a pay a black for a 1/1 to sacrifice it later and get your black back. So why not? Okay, I think we're gonna rush through the creatures here. Dark Confidant draws us cards. Scrawling Crawler draws us cards and makes our opponents take damage for drawing cards. Oh, Gonti. I have not seen this one played yet, personally. 4 mana for 3/4 whenever a player casts a spell they don't own. We're going to be doing a lot of that. That player creates a treasure token. Whenever I cast one of my opponent's spells that I stole with a stash counter, I'm going to make a treasure. Sweet. Whenever a creature deals combat damage to one of my opponents, its controller looks at the top card of that opponent's library and exiles it face down. They may play that card. Okay. So the Titan Bones ability, or the Tiny Bones ability that we have where we cast our opponent's things, we kind of give that to everybody. They just have to deal damage to each other. So we're forcing combat between the opponents and incentivize them not to attack us. That's cool. Turok, that makes our opponents discard cards. If it was kicked, I'm seeing 5 drops here. I don't necessarily want to play a ton of expensive cards, even though they're potentially played in some CEDH decks. There's not that many CEDH decks that we're looking at. We're looking at 8 decks, so these aren't the most optimal cards, but I'll pick what I believe to be the best out of this selection here. I like Dark Confidant. Phyrexian Walker, why not? If it's a 0 mana creature, it's probably helpful. I'll put that in the list for now. All slivers have 1, sack this creature. Each player discards a card. Okay, this is essentially the 2 mana 1/1. When it enters, each opponent discards a card. This is a 1 mana 1/1 that sacrifices for 1 mana, and each player discards a card. Sure. You discard a card as well. These all make each opponent discard a card. Well, why not? We'll discard cards. We'll play our opponent's stuff. We got to play this one too. 1 mana 1/1. The other Tiny Bones, the Pickpocket. Death Touch. When he deals combat damage to a player, you may cast target non-land permanent card from their graveyard. So if it doesn't get to the exile, the stash counter on it, and it does get to the graveyard somehow, we can cast it with this. What else is looking good? Keurig, it's okay. Let's add it to the list. This is typically a commander in its own right. We play mono black, turbo combo stuff. Let's put it in here. Why not? All right, we're into the instance category. I like sacrifice. Sacrifice one of your creatures to add mana equal to that creature's casting cost. Sure. Imp's Mischief. Change the target of spell with a single target. You lose life equal to that spell. A redirect. We're in black. We don't have counter spells. We don't have usually redirects outside of this. So interaction on the stack limited. We need that. We'll take it. Oh, Cut Down is getting a reprint in the Zeta set with Mischief. Oh, here we go. Here's the Saw in Half. We'll add that. I explained that earlier. Reign of Filth is great for a single black. Each land you control gains. Sacrifice this land. Add black to your mana pool until end of turn. So you give all your lands the ability to sacrifice themselves for more black. So this is kind of a turbo card. It gives you a lot of black mana, but you sacrifice lands. We're in black. We're all about being, you know, a little dangerous. Sacrificing our own permanents, discarding our own hands. Let's do it. Okay, we got Slaughter Pact, a 0 mana destroyed non-black creature. You just gotta pay 3 mana next turn. If you don't, you lose. Whoops. Flare of Malice. We'll sacrifice our own thing to make each opponent sacrifice something. Long Goodbye. It's a destroy target creature or planeswalker with mana value 3 or less, but it cannot be countered. Like I said, we don't have stack interaction, so if our spells are uncounterable, great. That's helpful. Adnaz is a game changer. I would love to play it, but we're not in that type of deck right now. Dismember. It's removal. This is 1 mana, deal yourself 4 life, usually. It has 1 Phyrexian black. So that means you could play it for 1 black and 2 life, 1 black, or 1 and take 4 life. But it's an instant that target creature gets -5/-5 until end of turn. It's usually worth it to take the damage and cast it as needed. What else we got here? Okay, if we're playing against tokens, we might want this. Force of Despair, 1 black. If it's not your turn, you may exile a black card from your hand rather than play this spell's mana cost. Destroy all creatures that entered the battlefield this turn. So if your opponent's going off, they made a ton of creatures, cast this at instant speed, destroy all those creatures that just entered. Fine with me. What do we got in chat? They made another Tiny Bones 2. They sure did. I thought you were going to say we're all about being black. Come on now. What else? What else makes sense? Oh, Withering Boon. 2 mana for an instant. Pay 3 life, counter target spell. We do have the rare counter, I guess. We've got a redirect and a counter target creature. We've mostly got on the board interaction. What else do we have here? Withering Torment. We don't have many destroy enchantment effects in black, so I'm going to play the ones that I do have. This is one of them. Destroy a creature or enchantment. You lose 2 life. We don't necessarily want to make our opponents sacrifice creatures. We want to be kind of choosy. We don't want to play like every 3 mana destroy creature, destroy this, destroy that. There's a lot of murder effects. 3 mana destroy creatures in black. We don't need them all. Malakir Rebirth I do like because on the back it is a land, but on the front, 1 mana, choose a creature, you lose 2 life until end of turn that creature gains. When this creature dies, return it to the battlefield tapped under its owner's control. Toxic Deluge is great for a board wipe. Beseech the Mirror is a great tutor of sorts. We didn't play the Game Changer tutors, so we'll play them slightly more expensive, but we can bargain it and potentially cast that spell. So let's do that. Praetor's Grasp. Just dig into their library, steal something. Why not? Reanimate. I like Reanimate. It might not be as good as it sounds in this deck. So we'll add it to the list. It might get chopped later. Thoughtseize, 1 mana, opponent reveals their hand. You make them discard a card. Sure. Duress, same thing, but you're looking for non-creature, non-land cards. Diabolic Intent is also a tutor, but you have to sacrifice a creature, and then you get to search your library for any card, put it into your hand. Easy ask, I would say. Demonic Council. You can search your library for a demon card. Are we playing any demons? Let's go back up to the creatures we've selected so far. I don't think we're playing any demons. If we were, we could play that card, and we'd have another tutor. We're not playing any demons yet. Let's come down here. Let's remove Demonic Council. Splinter's technique is kind of cool. Search your library for a card, put that card into your hand, then shuffle, but you can sneak it from the Ninja Turtle set. So it's essentially ninjutsu for instants and sorceries. Our creatures are going to get through. A lot of them have death touch, a lot of them are little, and an opponent might not suspect one damage is going to turn into a demonic tutor. So we'll put that in. We also have Shredder's technique from the Turtles set. It also destroys a creature or enchantment, so we'll do that. 1 mana is cheaper than 3 mana. Smallpox, each player loses a life, discards a card, sacks a creature, and sacrifices a land for black. Let's do it. We don't need a ton of damnations, types effects, board wipes, destroy all creatures. We don't need a ton of those. We have some cheaper ways with like Toxic Deluge, for example. It's going to cost us more life, but I wouldn't necessarily want to wipe my whole board as well. What do we got? Appearance of the Abyss is cool. Target player draws cards equal to half the number of cards in their library, then loses half their life. Round up each time. Don't think we want to play that here. We need more. What do we need? What's calling out to me here? What do we have? Is there anything you guys see? Gangsta. Ooh, each opponent discards 2 cards, and it has Delve. So each card you exile from your graveyard while casting this pays for one of the colorless. So this is potentially 1 mana sorcery. Each opponent discards 2 cards. Let's do it. Was not familiar with your game, Tassiger. I'm looking at mana costs. Whoa, black. When you play this, Temporal Extortion, any player may pay half his or her life rounded up. The player does counter Temporal Extortion. Take an extra turn after this one. Interesting. We're in mono black. A lot of our lands are just going to be black. We're already at 71 cards. We're going to have to cut back to probably 60-ish cards. So I don't want to add a ton of just weird cards, but we'll add that. We have artifacts to still add. What's calling out to me here? I don't think we need a ton of these types of effects. Activated abilities of creatures can't be activated. That's fine, right? It's a little bit of a non-bow because we do have an activated ability on our commander, but by the time you're playing something like that artifact, you don't necessarily need to do this. You're probably just casting the spells from the stash. So that might be worth it to play something like Cursed Totem. Let's throw it in there. Wishclaw Talisman, a tutor. Memory Jar, no. Ensnaring Bridge, no. Disruptor Flute. When this enters, choose a card name. Spells with the chosen name cost 3 more to cast. Activated abilities of sources with the chosen name can't be activated unless they're mana abilities. Interesting. You just want to target one specific card? Easy. We can't counter stuff, so we might as well make it hard to play and activate. Spells cost 1 less to cast. Ooh. This does affect everybody. So your opponent's spells get cheaper, but all the spells you're casting from your opponents that are in the stash are also cheaper. Ah, that's interesting. I don't think the benefit to 3 of my opponents outweighs the benefit I get. Okay. Let's go into enchantments. Animate Dead's always great. Don't think we need that here because we're just trying to play stuff from the stash. Ripples of Undeath. Beginning of your pre-combat main phase, mill 3 cards. Then you may pay 1 mana and 3 life. If you do, put a card from among those cards into your hand. We're not a mill deck. We're not trying to mill ourselves out. We're trying to make our opponents discard. Oh, okay. Shrieking Affliction. For a single black mana, you get an enchantment at the beginning of each opponent's upkeep. If that player has 1 or fewer cards in hand, he or she loses 3 life. So the goal here is to get your opponents to have no cards in hand, so that when they draw for turn, they take 3 life. Because they only have 1 in hand. What else we got here? Magrim. Whenever an opponent discards a card, Magrim deals 2 damage to that player. Just 3 mana. I like it. I like it. Another Necrogen Mist. 3 mana. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player discards a card. Yeah, we can get some repeatable discards. Why not? Add that in. Bloodchief's Ascension is also great in here, I believe. A single black for an enchantment. At the beginning of each end step, if an opponent lost 2 or more life this turn, you may put a quest counter on Bloodchief Ascension. Whenever a card is put into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere, if Bloodchief Ascension has 3 or more quest counters on it, you may have that player lose 2 life. If you do, you gain 2 life. Like I said earlier, we need to gain some life. A lot of our effects deal ourselves damage, so let's get it where we can get it. Here we go. This is the type of cost reduction I want. I don't want to help my opponents cast spells. I want to cast their spells. Creature spells I cast cost 2 less. And creatures I control get -1/-1. Easy. All of your things that I'm casting from the stash, cheaper by 2 mana, as long as they're creatures. Nowhere to run. This is a flash enchantment. Target creature an opponent controls gets -3/-3 until end of turn. Creatures your opponent control can be the target of spells and abilities as though they didn't have hexproof. Ward abilities of those creatures don't trigger. An opponent control. Okay, so this is 2 mana, gives something -3/-3, and then everything loses hexproof and ward. Not bad. Not bad. Let's add that. Necrodominance is great. Planeswalkers, not really good in Commander. Let's not worry about that for now. Okay, so we're at 81 cards. Land bases are like a whole discussion among themselves. So we'll skip these. We'll just assume we're going to have our Commander's 2 mana. We're playing fairly cheap mana curve. That means most of our spells are in the 1, 2, 3. There's a couple 4 mana cards. And then we have a couple cards that are on their face fairly expensive, but they will be cheaper because of abilities such as Convoke and so on. So we won't worry about the mana base today. We'll just assume we're going to have about maybe 34 lands. So that means we want to be, what is that, 66, aka, yeah, 66 cards, including the Commander. So we'll chop a few after. I like Springleaf Drum. I like Soul Ring. I like Arcane Signet. I like Lotus Petal. That's going to help us cast our Commander turn 1. What else? Paradise Mantle is great. If you don't have Springleaf Drum and Paradise Mantle, play these cards more often. They are great alternatives to more expensive cards like Mox Amber. This is $81. Lion's Eye Diamond is a fixed Black Lotus, but it's $800. You don't want to pay that. Paradise Mantle is less than $10, about $10. Springleaf Drum is less than $1, and they are 1 mana artifacts that tap creatures you control to add mana. They're great. I love them. Okay, and then we're back down into the non-utility lands. So these are just lands that add colors. The lands up here are utility lands. These are all things that have abilities or effects outside of making mana. So we're at 86 cards. That's a lot. Okay, so I would then go through here and whittle it down. Play test the deck. Of course, add lands. Play test the deck. And then if there's something that's standing out to me as like, it doesn't work when I have this and the Commander in play, it's kind of a non-bow, let's not play that. Have a better card to consider in its place, swap it out. How much is it so far for this deck? You can see when you click the clipboard, if you were to order from TCG Player with its cart optimizer, I'm assuming, $933. If you wanted to go to another marketplace, not a marketplace, but another seller, you can go to Card Kingdom and get it for about $1,200. So it's a big jump, about $270 there in price. And if you wanted to go cheaper, but a less large, the cat's at the door again. Hold on. If you wanted to go to Mana Pool, I have not bought from Maniple, but if you wanted to go there, you can get it for slightly cheaper than TCG at about $841. I'm gonna see if the cat wants to show his face. All right, chat. He doesn't want to show his face. He's a quitter. He's a cat that cried. What is it? The wolf that cried. What is it saying? Holy cow! How am I forgetting that? You're calling it? This is a high bracket 3. Likely. Very likely. Okay. So then we went through the list with expensive bracket 5. And the deck is expensive. It's let's say $1,100 average. If you were to buy it, you were there, maybe you have some cards, maybe it's about $1,000. And we didn't even add the top combos. The wolf who cried boy. No, I think it's the boy who cried wolf. Why would the wolf cry? This is the cat that cried boy, I guess. It's like, I want to be on camera, and then runs away. The wolf who cried boy. That's hilarious. So what else could you do? You could bring the bracket down. You could leave it at expensive, sure. And then see what the differences are in the suggestions. And you'll get different options. If it's a lot of the same stuff, then you know that this deck isn't going to get too much more expensive. But you're just going to unlock some more options. Because people in lower brackets, where this deck is more often played, are going to have a more diverse selection of cards. Because now we're looking at 74 decks versus 8 that were bracket 5 expensive. Now we're looking at bracket 3 expensive. There's more options. There's more decks that the data is being scraped from. The cat who cried Seabass. There we go. That's what I was trying to say. John, completing my sandwiches. All right, drink water. Getting toasty in here. I'm only going to stay on for maybe 10 more minutes. Any questions about how I build my decks? You saw it firsthand. I would have to go make cuts. This is a process, of course. It doesn't... Is the deck... No, we're not. I already said we're not going to 100. We have to make cuts. I'm not going to go put this into a Mox field. That's too much. I wasn't set up for this, John. You're asking a lot here. I'm telling you how I make selections. We would, of course, have to assume that we're going to have some amount of lands. 30... Like I said, this is a fairly low mana curve in this deck. 1 to 3. There's some 4 mana spells. A 5 and higher here and there, but not too many. So we would have to add lands, make some cuts down to 100, play test, and adjust. That's how I make decks. This is a quick way for you to be able to build a deck with a random commander using EDH Rec. This deck is not going to get done today. It's a process. I can't do that in 30 minutes.
A few moments later.
So you'd come to the clipboard. You would... Where's the copy? Export the clipboard. Come over here. Create a new deck. We'll call this... We're going to call this Teeny Tiny Commander. And this is Tiny Bones Bauble Burglar. Create. Then you can go to bulk edit, paste the main deck. We can remove from here Tiny Bones Bauble Burglar because he's already inserted as the commander. So we'll remove him, remove his line item. Then we will save. Boom. Now the deck's in here. Let's just say swamp. We're going to have a bunch of those. Add that. Come down here. We have 3 lands total. You can click on this. Let's add more. Let's say we want to get to 34 lands. We're at 3. So we need to have 32 swamps. That puts us at 35. That's fine. And then we start making cuts. We got to make 19 cuts. So So what I do is I can just go look at each category. Creatures, this is probably the number of creatures we would want. Maybe we cut... Actually, I don't know that we cut anything. Maybe Crick. This is its own deck, its own right. We don't need to play that here. We're playing all the other tiny boneses. We're playing all the 2-mana creatures that make our opponents discard stuff. I like Phyrexian Walker. Doesn't need to be in here. Shieldred, expensive, making our opponents lose life when they draw cards. We're gaining. That's where we're gonna leave it. We want to gain the life. Rev, stealing our opponent's things. The Master. Whenever a player loses life, they mill that many cards. We want them to discard. We don't want them to mill, so we'll remove that. All right. We don't need an extra turn spell. Not for black. That is crazy. Its floor is low. I mean that black to make your opponents lose, one of your opponents lose half their life. In the best case scenario is not an effect I necessarily want to play. In the best case scenario, it's take an extra turn. I don't think that's gonna win. One extra turn is gonna win us the game. We can remove that. What else? The Delve on this. Make each opponent discard 2 cards, it potentially being a single black. I like that. Thoughtseize targets only one opponent. Maybe we remove that. Same with Duress. We have many ways with our creatures to make them all discard. Smallpox is black. Each player discards. That's great. I don't think we necessarily need all the rituals. Snuff Out and Slaughter Pact both destroy target non-black creature, which is fine. If you control a swamp, you may pay 4 life. Do I want to pay 4 life for Snuff Out or pay 3 mana on my next turn? This Slaughter Pact can lose me the game. Let's just remove that. We're down to 112 cards already. Yeah, tell me a name. I've named it Teeny Tiny. But if you have a better name, let me know, chat. Okay, we already mentioned the non-bow with Curse Totem. Let's remove it. Jet Medallion. This is helping us cast our opponent's things. This is very narrow disruption. We can remove that. The One Ring draws us a ton of cards, potentially, but we lose life. I don't know if we have enough life gain to outpace this. This is definitely a higher bracket card. Like we said, this is, not every deck can be a bracket 4 or bracket 5 cards deck, so we don't need to be playing all those cards. Let's remove the One Ring. The rest of this is 1 and 2 mana ramp, cost reduction, and a tutor. I like it. Vexing Bauble is great because it's a card draw and stops our opponents from casting free things. All of our enchantments are 1, 2, and 3 mana. We have 3 3-mana enchantments though. What are those? Oppression. Whenever a player casts a spell, they discard a card. That's repeatable discard. Great. Magrim. Whenever an opponent discards a card, they deal Magrim deals 2 damage to that player. That's potentially a win con, or forces our opponents not to cast things. So do we want to let them cast things and discard, or we have to force them to discard to deal them 2 damage? Let's see. We got Necrogen Mist, 3 mana at the beginning of each player's upkeep. That player discards a card. I don't think I like Magrim, because Oppression and Necrogen Mist force them to discard cards for 3 mana. Magrim just says whenever they discard a card, we might not be making them discard things all the time. So let's just make sure we can do that more often. We can remove that. The rest of this helps us cast things. Oh, we had another one. 3 mana, Bottomless Pit. During each player's upkeep, that player discards a card at random. We're going to be casting their things. It doesn't matter if we discard something, so that's fine. Blood Ender's Rise, if we use this art. But Blood Chief's Ascension. I kind of like all these. Number 35. So we're down to 8 picks still. We're at 100 cards. Do we want to sacrifice our lands? I don't think so. We can get rid of Reign of Filth. All right, we're down to 7 picks. What do you guys think needs to go? We got destroy all creatures that enter this turn. This is good against what are they? Our token playing opponents. We got a lot of rituals. We got 1, 2. Maybe we don't have as many as I thought. About the sorceries, we got a lot of tutors. We don't have that many. We don't have that many rituals. Not as many as I thought. We have a Cabal ritual and Dark ritual. Oh, we have Culling the Weak. 1 mana sack creature, add 4 black. Get rid of the most expensive. Okay. If you guys wanted to do that, you could sort by price. And if you hit advanced, you could also have it show the price. So let's show price. Save. So now we have prices next to the categories. The most expensive category is artifacts. That's probably this Chrome Mox coming into play. We can remove that. We already dropped it down to $60 from like over 100, almost 200. The rest of the categories, the Ancient Tomb, also fairly expensive. We can remove that. We have 5 more picks. All right, our lands are $37. Our enchantments are $45. Artifacts are about $60. Instants are about $110. It's probably the Deadly Rollick. Mana-wise, I did that. That was my first pass. Now I'm asking you guys what you want. I thought you meant most expensive, price-wise. So I think we could go that route. We already know this isn't going to be. This is not going to be a bracket 4 and 5, right? You said high 3. I think that's fair. Reducing the cost of the cards also brings it down into a more affordable range. We went from a $1,200 deck to sub 500 already. So, Deadly Rollick, a free exile target creature. This is the only way we have to exile a creature. The rest of these are destroy. We can get around some like indestructible things with Dismember because it gives something -5/-5. Oh, we can make our opponents sacrifice things, but then everything else is destroy. I think Deadly Rollick is worth keeping. Beseech the Mirror is about a $20 card. We have a lot of tutors now. It is an expensive card mana-wise. It is 1 black. Let's remove it. Okay, our instants are still about $111. The most expensive one is probably this, or is this Deadly Rollick, followed by Malakir Rebirth. This is kind of on the stack interaction. Our opponent tries to destroy one of our creatures. We can pay a single black and lose 2 life to make that creature come back, so they can't get rid of it permanently. I like that. Cabal Ritual. This is helping us cast our opponent's things because it's 2 mana, add 3 mana, or 2 mana, add 5 mana if we have 7 or more cards in our graveyard to meet that threshold. So, Withering Boon is our way to counter creatures. I like that. Force of Despair. Destroy all creatures that enter this turn. That is helpful against tokens. Imp's Mischief. 2 mana, change the target of redirect. I like that. Culling the Weak. Sacrifice a creature. Add black. I think we kind of want that kind of effect. We want to turn a little bit of mana into a lot of mana to cast whatever our opponents may be playing. Sacrifice. We could probably get rid of the sacrifice since it sacrifices a creature and only adds mana equal to its mana cost. Our creatures are not big. Let's remove this one. And then everything else is, I think, pretty good. Once we get over here, we got Diabolic Intent, which is a tutor, but we have to sacrifice a creature. Totally fine. Praetor's Grasp. I don't think we need to search our opponent's library for a card. We're just going to make them discard everything. We'll remove Praetor's Grasp. Reanimate. Oh, yeah, I did say I don't... Reanimate. It does put a creature card from any graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. You do lose life equal to the mana value of that creature. But we're trying to make them discard things into exile. I don't think it fits the theme. We need one more pick, chat. One more pick. If we were to go with removing expensive dollar-wise cards, the next card would definitely be Shieldred, let's change the art on this. You could also click on the 3 dots here, switch the printing. Oh yeah, we're going with this one. Boom. We got Cumberbatch. Cumberbatch. It would be Cumberbatch. Did we add Saw in Half? Oh wow, I never added Saw in Half. So there's no point. No, wait, I lied. Saw in Half is this card right here. Let's switch the printing. Something I'm more familiar with. Okay, so we do have Saw in Half, and we do have the Hoarding Broodlord. That's fine. It's not a crazy expensive card. Shieldred, aka Cumberbatch, does work with the theme because a lot of our own effects deal less damage, and we want to be able to draw cards in game. That's about the only way it's helpful. And whenever an opponent draws a card, they lose 2 life. It's, you know, is Saw in Half. If I remove Saw in Half, then I remove Hoarding Broodlord. I can remove Hoarding Broodlord without getting rid of Saw in Half, because sawing in half a creature like Rotting Rat is fine. The 2-mana 1/1, when it comes into play, each player discards a card. If I do cast that, then Saw in Half, and then each player also discards 2 more cards, the Saw in Half is good. The Hoarding Broodlord is just a tutor on a creature that's a big flyer. So I could get rid of Hoarding Broodlord and not Saw in Half. But if I get rid of Saw in Half, then I definitely get rid of Hoarding Broodlord. Does that make sense? So what else? You think Hoarding? Let's do it. We're dropping the Hoarding. All right, we're at $100. $100. We're at 100 cards in our Tiny Bones Bauble Burglar deck that we built on the fly in this live stream. We have a budget that we brought it down to. We didn't intentionally come up with a number, but we're down from $1,200 it started at to $370. Not bad. Fairly affordable. Our creatures cost us about $85. Our sorceries cost us about $32. Our instants cost us about $106. Our artifacts cost us about $60. Enchantments, $45. Our lands, of course, you can build up the lands however you want. We're just filling it in with, you know, stand-ins, swamps, or mono black. There's some other mono black lands you can play for sure. Urza Saga is the one that makes the most sense in the deck right now because it always does something good. It always goes and gets Soul Ring. It always goes and gets Vexing Bauble. It always goes and gets you a Lotus Petal. You know, it does good stuff. So I'd play an Urza Saga if you wanted to make that swamp. Totally makes sense. Yeah, building a deck can be done fairly quick once you know what you're looking for. You know how to understand the commander. You gotta know what is going to be useful, you know, within the realm that the commander wants to play. There's a lot of things that we looked at that, even though they're played in a lot of Tiny Bones decks, are not useful for Tiny Bones the way it wants to be played. So you just got to be aware. It comes with time. You're gonna become more familiar as you build decks what actually is effective and what is not. And there's some things that are just always good, regardless of what the theme is. You know, that's Soul Ring for you. Soul Ring is always good. That's a lie. It's not always good, but it's good in 99.9% of cases, right? So, yeah. Sub $400. What bracket are we? Where do I see this? Bracket info. We have one Game Changer because we just removed 2 of them. We could make this a bracket 2 deck by removing 1 card and putting something else in. We have no mass land denial cards. We have no extra turns. We removed an extra turn card. If we had that extra turn card and those other 2, I think it was the Mox and the other artifact, like, I believe. We had 3 Game Changers. We removed 2 of them and we removed our extra turn card. We are a bracket 3. Solid. Totally fine. playing this in a casual game for sure. Leave comments down below in the chat. What did I miss for this deck? What is there a better Tiny Bones? This is the one we spun the wheel and got. This is what we went with. Is there a better one though? Is this Tiny Bones better? Is Titan Bones better? Yeah, this is how easy it is to make a bracket 3 deck. Not too hard, guys. And an even easier way is to start with cards you have and then do this process. Add the cards you already have, then start the process of adding 3 EDH reg. That's what I would do if I was starting from scratch and just wanted to build something and then bring it down to a price range that I'm comfortable with and then buying it outright. Buy singles, of course. But let me know. What would you have done different? What cards are you playing in your Tiny Bones if you're playing Tiny Bones? And what random commander should we build in the future? Actually, don't tell me. We have to spin the wheel. What do you think will come up next? What do you want to see the wheel bring up next? It's all random. Appreciate it. And that's it for me, chat. I can stay on for another 10 minutes. It'll be 9 o'clock my time at that point. We're just going to chat. We're just going to chatting, guys. Go to my Mox field. I lied. I'm not done with YouTube. Go to the Mox field. If it's not linked in the link tree, John's going to add it and go look at this deck. Do a sign off. What do you think I was just doing, John? I'm the professional YouTuber here. I'm the professional YouTuber. You got to remember, you, John, have a delay. What is it, like 7-second delay? I'll get there. I'll get there. Just kidding, John. You're a professional YouTuber as well. This is why we make a great team. We're both professionals. All right, we're in chatting. We looked at the YouTube channel update, second cam, the new A cam. You're on the B cam. Eventually, we'll get a second main cam, and then we'll have a top down. Maybe we could do some actual Commander gameplay. We'll see. That's where the channel's, if that's where the channel's headed in the future. What else do we got? We looked at some decks that I'm tearing apart and my process for doing so, deciding what to get rid of, what to sell, what to put in another deck, so on and so forth. Then we looked at the Mischief collaboration coming out. Very interesting. Curious to see where that ends up. Are you guys buying? John said he's buying me stuff, so I'm set. Otherwise, I'm buying singles. If you want to see that in the future, subscribe so you get all the notifications. Of course, ring the bell so you get all the notifications for sure. And come to that live stream when those come in. That'll be fun. If John buys it, I'm not gonna hold him to it. Would be cool though, John. Would be cool. Come on. There we go. Then what else did we talk about? We talked about building a deck. We looked at some of my cards. Oh no! While we were looking through the Zeta set, we looked at some of my cards, kind of price matched to where I think some of the Zeta set might end up value wise. You want the Mox? That's the big hit so far. Maybe they reveal another one. I don't know if they've revealed everything. They're 7 card packs, $20 a pack, $19.92 per pack. You can get up to 12 of them, so it's like a small collector box of a weird set. It's gonna be valuable. And then we built a deck. An eventful stream. We did a lot today. Only been a couple hours, right? 2.5 hours. We did a lot. Thanks for hanging out, chat. And if you got nothing else, I'm not gonna hold you too long. We can sign off early. Any questions? Anything? Nothing? Good job, Seabass. Cool. Thanks. Good. Oh. It was an okay job, but I'll take it. If you guys like the deck building stuff and you want to like suggest commanders for next time, feel free if you're still in chat. But outside of that, I think I'm gonna sign off, guys. Have a good weekend. And by weekend, I mean week until the next live stream. Otherwise, I'll see you next week. And look out for what video's coming out next, John. Before I go, keep an eye out for... John's going to tell me in chat what video's coming out next. We did just put out a Combos 101 video. Those are fun. Go watch that one if you want to know about combos. Oh yeah, where you guys being here live get to see some of the channel updates on the fly as they happen. But we did a 2-month review. We've been doing this for 2 months. We unlocked the live stream. That's why we're here right now. We put about what, 85, 90 videos already. That includes shorts and everything. Yeah, I think we've been grinding. So we're gonna put out a 2-month review about our progress on the channel. Yeah, roughly 85, 90 videos, including the shorts. Everything. We're not, putting out 90 hours of content in the last 2 months. That'd be crazy. Someday maybe. Once we're millionaires. So we kind of discussed some of the things the trials and tribulations of the last 2 months, what we plan for the future, and how we thought the first 2 months would go versus what the reality was, and so on. So that's the next video to come out. We've got Combo 101 videos already out and in the chamber to come out. We filmed some other videos. They're all in the chamber to be released. Just got to get through the editing pipeline. And that's it for me today, guys. Appreciate it. Thanks for hanging out. Deuces.